Congo and M23 sign new peace roadmap. Lebanon plans UN complaint over Israeli border wall. Good afternoon and Salam Alaikum Madani. This is World Today. I am Olivia Nicholas. The Democratic Republic of Congo and the Rwanda-backed M23 group have signed a new peace framework in Qatar. The Doha framework for a comprehensive peace agreement was aimed at ending the fighting that has devastated eastern Congo. Congo and M23 signed one ceasefire deal and an earlier framework in July. But each side has accused the other of breaking the truce. The signing of the new deal was completed at a ceremony attended by officials from the warring parties as well as the US and Qatar.
Now, obviously, the most important aspect is the implementation. And it's for this reason that we've put in place so many mechanisms to address different aspects of the implementation.
Benjamin Mbonimpa, representing the M23 delegation, said the agreement contained no binding clauses and would not change the situation on the ground. He said the text contains 8 chapters on the root causes of the conflict, which will be negotiated before reaching a comprehensive peace agreement. Congo, meanwhile, said the framework aims to create the shortest time possible the conditions for a real and measurable change for the people. It said the 8 chapters include the freeing of prisoners by both sides, humanitarian aid for the devastated East, and an agreement on monitoring the ceasefire. Lebanon will file a complaint to the United Nations Security Council alleging that Israel is building walls in South Lebanon. The United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, said the Israeli army had built walls near the UN demarcated Blue Line, the de facto border. When asked about the accusation, the Israeli military claimed that the wall does not cross the Blue Line. President Joseph Aoun's office said he had instructed officials to file an urgent complaint to the United Nations Security Council regarding the matter. He requested that the complaint be accompanied by reports issued by the UN refuting the Israeli denial of the wall's constructions. According to the UNIFIL, last month peacekeepers surveyed a concrete T-wall erected by the Israeli army southwest of Yaron. It found that it crossed the Blue Line, rendering more than 4,000 square meters of Lebanese territory inaccessible to the Lebanese people. UNIFIL further said a survey this month of additional construction showed a section of wall southeast of Yaron also crossed the Blue Line, calling it a violation of Lebanon's sovereignty. The UN Security Council will vote tomorrow on a resolution endorsing US President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan. Last week, the Americans officially launched the negotiations within the 15-member Security Council on a text that would follow up on a ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas and endorse Trump's plan. A draft of the resolution welcomes the establishment of the Board of Peace, a transitional governing body for Gaza with a mandate running until the end of 2027. Unlike previous drafts, the latest mentions a possible future Palestinian state. The US and several Arab and Muslim-majority nations, include Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Turkey, call for the UN Security Council to quickly adopt the resolution. They expressed their joint support, saying they are seeking the measure's swift adoption. Meanwhile, the Gaza Strip is witnessing concerted efforts to gradually restore its education system following the end of the 2-year war. Although several international organizations have established temporary schools, students and teachers face significant challenges. Ibrahim Ramadan, Director of Education in East Khan Yunis, said barriers include lack of suitable school buildings and a shortage of basic educational supplies. With the partial resumption of education, the learning process continues in Gaza schools amidst difficult conditions, reflecting the magnitude of the tragedy left by Israeli attacks.
نؤكد على أن تقريباً 82% من المباني المدرسية خرجت عن الخدمة على مستوى قطاع غزة بالتعاون مع المؤسسات الشريكة والجهات الداعمة سواء كانت المحلية أو الدولية، كذلك بالتعاون المشترك مع مؤسسات المجتمع المحلي بالتفكير ملياً في إعادة عجلة عملية التعليم وكذلك في بدء عملية التعافي، وذلك بإنشاء المدارس المؤقتة في ساحات المدارس المهدمة كلياً أو في القطع الأراضي المجاورة للمدارس.
يواجه الطلاب في غزة تحديات جسيمة.
Political figures across Japan have strongly denounced Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's remarks after she hinted at the possibility of military involvement in the Taiwan Strait. Critics express concerns over the legal basis, policy logic and potential regional security risk stemming from her statements, which they said will exacerbate tensions in Japan-China relations. Komeito chief Tetsuo Saito said although Takaichi's acknowledged that her remarks do not necessarily reflect the government's unified view, they nonetheless undermine the foundation of national policy. He emphasized that any statement by the Prime Minister should not violate national policies, adding that the remarks carry serious influence and must be corrected. Three former Prime Ministers Shigeru Ishiba, Yoshihiko Noda and Yukio Hatoyama have also criticized Takaichi's comments. Mizuho Fukushima, head of the Social Democratic Party, said Takaichi's remarks were entirely rational, stressing that Japanese society must work to prevent war and halt this dangerous policy. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has criticized planned military drills by Trinidad and Tobago, calling them a threat to regional stability and accusing the neighboring nation of allowing its waters to be used for exercises aimed at intimidating Venezuela. Speaking at a rally, Maduro said the Trinidad and Tobago government had announced irresponsible exercises in waters of Venezuela, Sucre's state coast, scheduled to run from Monday to Thursday.
Y es una tarea que les doy desde aquí a todas las fuerzas populares, sociales, políticas, militares, policiales, a todas las fuerzas de la patria, a no caer en provocaciones en ningún momento, pero a movilizarse con fervor patriótico para decirle: fuera de aquí, barcos imperialistas, fuera de aquí, amenazas militares. Venezuela se respeta.
The exercises take place amid broader U.S. military operations in the Caribbean, which include warships, fighter jets and thousands of troops. Still ahead, huge explosions rock industrial area in Argentina.
Peralatan elektrik 5 bintang memberikan penjimatan 5 bintang.
Bulgarian Prime Minister Rosen Zelyazkov has welcomed the Trump administration's clearance allowing potential buyers to negotiate with Russia's Lukoil about purchasing its foreign assets. Zelyazkov also discussed efforts to secure the operation of Lukoil's Burgas refinery after Bulgaria moved to seize the plant. The U.S. last month imposed sanctions on Russia's two biggest oil companies, Lukoil and Rosneft, for their help in financing Russia's war in Ukraine. Lukoil has faced growing disruptions to its foreign assets, which account for about 0.5% of global oil production since these sanctions were imposed. However, the Treasury Department on Friday issued a set of licenses, one of which authorized companies to talk to Lukoil through 13th of December about buying its foreign assets. A large blaze ignited by powerful explosions at an industrial park near Argentina's capital has been contained. Officials also said most of the more than 20 people who suffered minor injuries in the incident have been discharged from hospital. A dense column of black and orange smoke billowed across the sky above the Ezeiza municipality, about 40 kilometers from Buenos Aires. Local media reported that 5 different factories were hit by the explosions and blaze, spreading panic among locals. The disaster also shattered windows in some homes and caused minor damage to other buildings. The Civil Defense Agency for Buenos Aires province said the incident had violent characteristics, but the situation was never out of control to the point of posing a risk to the population. It added some particles detected were of concern, but it is not an extremely dangerous situation. Chilean will head to the ballot box to elect a new president in a vote that is pitting the governing leftist coalition against an array of right-wing candidates. This is Chile's first presidential election since 2012, where voting will be mandatory, as those who do not vote face a fine. The country of some 16 million voters saw an abstention rate of 53% in the first round of its 2021 presidential election. The large amount of apathic or undecided residents set to cast ballots adds a wild card to Sunday's vote. None of the 8 candidates in the running are expected to reach the majority needed to win outright, likely triggering a runoff election on the 14th of December. The December race will also have a new legislative composition. Chile's governing leftist coalition has a minority in both chambers of Congress, and the entire 155-member lower house and 23 of the country's 50 Senate seats are up for grabs. If Chile's right wins the presidency and control of both legislatures, it would be the first time since the end of the Pinochet dictatorship in 1990 that the right would control all 3. Tens of thousands of people thronged the streets of the Amazonian city, hosting COP30 talks, dancing to thumping speakers in the first large-scale protest at a UN climate summit in years. As the first week of climate negotiations limped to a close with nations deadlocked, indigenous people and activists sang, chanted and rolled a giant beach ball of earth through Belém under a searing sun. Their demands include reparations for damage caused by corporations and governments, especially to marginalized communities. After a 4.5-kilometer march through the city, the demonstration stopped a few blocks from the COP30 venue, where authorities deployed soldiers to protect the site. Ultimately, the crowd, which organizers put at 50,000, dispersed peacefully. It was the first major protest outside the annual climate talks since COP26 4 years ago in Glasgow. Called the Great People's March by organizers, the Belém rally followed 2 indigenous-led protests that disrupted proceedings earlier in the week. Over in Mexico, thousands of people marched through the streets of Mexico City to protest against drug violence and the security policies of President Claudia Sheinbaum's government. The demonstration was organized on social media by representatives of Generation Z. Banners with messages were displayed alongside the pirate flag emblematic of the Japanese manga One Piece, which has become a symbol of global youth protests. Protesters gathered in front of the National Palace, where Sheinbaum lives and works, and knocked down some of the metal fences protecting the building. Police protecting the compound used tear gas, grenades and fire extinguishers to contain the protest. Hundreds of young people threw projectiles at the police, who responded by deploying their shields and also threw objects at the protesters. Sheinbaum maintains approval rating above 70% in her first year in office, but has faced criticism of her security policies due to several high-profile murders, mainly in the state of Michoacán. Violent weather brought on by Storm Claudia killed at least 3 people and injured dozens in Portugal. Portugal and parts of neighboring Spain have faced days of extreme conditions brought on by the storm, which had reached parts of Britain and Ireland. Rescue workers found the bodies of an elderly couple inside their flooded home in Fernão Faro across the River Tagus from Lisbon. They had apparently been sleeping and were unable to flee as the water rose during the night. Emergency services said the tornado also struck Albufeira in southern Portugal. Footage shot from a distance showed the tornado damaging and destroying caravans at a camping site where Regional Civil Protection Agency said a British woman was killed. The agency said 28 people were injured at a nearby hotel, adding that 2 of them were in hospital with serious injuries. Next up in sports, Alcaraz secures ATP Finals showdown with Sinner. We begin our sports segment with tennis. Defending champion Jannik Sinner stormed to a 7-5, 6-2 victory over Alex de Minaur in the last 4 of the ATP Finals as the Australian suffered his 13th straight loss to the 4-time Grand Slam winner despite a fighting start. World number 2 Sinner had to dig deep to get his first break of the match, which tipped the first set in his favour. The Italian took the first 4 games of the second set to ensure victory, backed by a supportive crowd at Turin's Palasport Olimpico. 7-seed de Minaur fended off 2 break points to hold the opening game of the match and was on the verge of a break after going 40-love up in the second, but Sinner held his nerve to hold. Neither player could get a break as the match stayed even until the 11th game, when Sinner's perfectly angled backhand evaded a stumbling de Minaur to put the Italian 6-5 ahead. Sinner held the next game with ease to clinch the first set. Sinner dominated the second set, bringing up match point with a strong backhand volley before sealing victory with a powerful forehand that was well outside de Minaur's reach. Sinner has won his last 18 sets played in Turin, and the 4-time Grand Slam champion is on a 30-match winning streak on indoor hard courts. In another match, Carlos Alcaraz cruised past Felix Auger-Aliassime 6-2, 6-4 to set up the title match with Sinner, which all tennis fans wanted to see after a series of thrilling battles between the pair this year. Canada's Auger-Aliassime is an indoor specialist, having won 7 of his 8 titles on indoor courts, but even he could not handle Alcaraz, who took control of the match by breaking serve in Game 4 of the first set with a brilliant hooked volley. Alcaraz breezed into a 1-set lead with another break of serve and then completed his victory without much difficulty and without having to play his most spectacular tennis. Nerves appeared to hit Auger-Aliassime when serving at 5-4 down in the second, as 4 unforced errors gifted the Spaniard the game, set and match. Sinner and Alcaraz will go head-to-head in their 6th title decider this year, with the 22-year-old Spaniard bidding to win his first title at the season-ending tournament. Italian Sinner, meanwhile, will be playing in his 3rd successive final in Turin. The Spaniard has had the better of his clashes with Sinner and has won 4 of his season's 5 meetings, which have all come in the final of top-level tournaments. Alex Marquez claimed a dominant victory in the final sprint of the MotoGP season in Valencia, his 3rd such triumph of this year. The Ducati Gresini rider, who has sealed 2nd in the overall standings behind his champion brother Marc, beat out KTM's Pedro Acosta by 1.149 seconds, while Fabio Di Giannantonio finished 3rd. Home favourite Marquez started from 2nd on the grid behind Marco Bezzecchi, but took the lead at turn 1 and never relinquished it. The Italian also sank behind Acosta, who zipped into 2nd place at turn 2, eventually finishing 5th. However, despite a disappointing outing, it was enough for Besetti to wrap up third place in the championship under grey skies in Valencia and give Aprilia their first top three finish. Meanwhile, two-time MotoGP champion Francesco Bagnaia has struggled in recent weeks and dropped to 5th in the standings behind Acosta as he came in 14th in the sprint on his Ducati. Marquez said he would try to win the Grand Prix today to complete a first weekend double triumph. Last year's event in Valencia was cancelled because of the deadly flooding in the region. Moving on to football, Norway striker Erling Haaland said he feels great responsibility to lead Norway to the World Cup ahead of their final qualification match against Italy at San Siro Stadium in Milan.
What's the last game now, and we're going to do everything we can to qualify to the World Cup. That's what we are here to do, and there's one game left. We can get a perfect record now, and that's what we will try to do because what we are doing right now is really good, and there's a good spirit in the group. So we need to finish good, I think.
The national team trained and are all but guaranteed a 2026 World Cup spot after their 4-1 victory over Estonia on Thursday. Alexander Sørloth and Erling Haaland both scored twice to put the country on the brink of qualifying for the World Cup for the first time since 1998. Norway hold a 3-point lead over second-place Italy, who need to win the overturn Norway's goal difference of 17 to leapfrog the Norwegians and snatch the automatic qualifying spot. Meanwhile, Italy head coach Gennaro Gattuso said the team must be very smart and not get carried away by enthusiasm during the match against Norway, as there is a lot at stake. Earlier the group stage, Italy lost 3-0 in Oslo, a result that now makes automatic qualification for the World Cup an almost impossible task, needing to win and overturn Norway's goal difference. If they fail in this titanic undertaking, Italy will still play for a place in the World Cup and the playoffs next spring. Considering this possibility, the coach said he is looking for opportunities to meet with the players in the coming months and prepare for what could be a decisive appointment. Italy, who failed to reach the last two World Cups after successive playoffs defeats, is trying to avoid a third straight absence. Coming up in our offbeat segment, Drone Light Show highlights David Hockney's artworks. Drones lit up the night sky with recreations of David Hockney's artworks in the British city of Bradford, marking the first time his work has been presented using the technology. Painting the Sky used 600 drones to create the display in Roberts Park in the village of Saltaire. It included famous pieces such as A Bigger Splash, Pool with Two Figures, and A Year in Normandy. The 88-year-old British artist, known for his colourful depictions of Los Angeles swimming pools and the countryside of his native Yorkshire, is known for embracing new technology in his art. Bradford, Hockney's hometown, was chosen to be this year's City of Culture, a destination aimed at reviving and celebrating local culture and art. A robot designed to transform vineyard operations with its advanced autonomous capabilities is undergoing trials in Italy. Called Fraschi, it is designed to carry out a range of functions including monitoring grape clusters, manipulating plants and applying spray treatments to the fruit all autonomously. Fraschi's main goal is to address the challenges that the agricultural sector is facing, such as environmental sustainability and labor shortages, by combining robotics and artificial intelligence.
Fraschi is a robot that we intended to work in vineyards to do precision agriculture activities. So the basic idea is that we can digitalize our vineyards and we can have the idea and the location of every grapes that is located in the vineyards.
Equipped with a robotic arm and integrated camera, Frasky offers precise environmental mapping and obstacle detection. Its modular design allows for customization, enabling farmers to adapt the robot for various tasks. A new immersive exhibition in London recreates the ancient Roman city of Pompeii, which was destroyed by the volcanic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. The Last Days of Pompeii is offering immersive elements like a 360-degree virtual recreation of the volcano and via headset-assisted walks through a suburban villa. Some exhibit halls also display artifacts along with replicas of objects recovered from the doomed Roman towns, such as written tablets and sculptures of mythological creatures. Other replicas include those of the plastic cast of corpses recovered from under the volcanic rubble in Pompeii. As for the new age tech in the show, the 360-degree room reimagines daily life in Pompeii while building up to the catastrophic eruption that destroyed it. Meanwhile, the virtual reality experience allows visitors to walk into the Villa of the Mysteries, one of the most well-preserved suburban villas on the outskirts of Pompeii. People can walk through the houses, baths, kitchen and a worship room moments before the volcano erupts. The Last Days of Pompeii run at London's immersive LDN Arena until March next year. Brazilian researchers have discovered a 240-million-year-old fossil of a carnivorous reptile that offers new insights into the origin of modern crocodiles. The armor-plated predator named Thenraquaosuchus bellator measured up to 2.5 meters long and roamed today's southern Brazil during the Triassic period. The fossils were unearthed in May in Dona Francisca, a municipality in Rio Grande do Sul state. Despite its dinosaur-like appearance, the reptile belonged to Pseudodoxokia, a group of ancient predators that dominated the Triassic period and gave rise to today's alligators and crocodiles. The remains included portions of the lower jaw, vertebral column and pelvis, enabling researchers to reconstruct the creature's anatomy and behavior. The discovery is significant because the fossil shows close similarities to specimens found in Tanzania, providing the first evidence of specific animal group connections between Brazil and Africa during the Triassic period. And that wraps up World Today. In our top story, Congo and M23 sign new peace roadmap. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Salaran Berita Harian. I'm Olivia Nicholas, till then, Salam Malaysia Madani. Have a good afternoon, Malaysia.